That's no moon.
Clear Bay 327. We are opening the magnetic field.
Hello there, and welcome to Docking Bay 327. Today, we're going to look at how I continue to build out my Millennium Falcon bench corner with this wall up here. If you noticed in the last video, if you saw that, how I built my bunk, you noticed there was a whole other section over here that still needed to be greeblified. If you haven't seen that video, you can check out the link in the description below. Before we get any further, I just want to say welcome to all of my new subscribers. If you came over to my channel from Brian Thompson's video last week that shared some of my work, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here, and I hope you enjoy my continued content. So anyway, I'll show you how I built this wall up here, how I laid out the greeblies, my thought process, and then of course how I attached some of them, and all of the weathering that I did and the tubing that I put in place. Then I'll show you some better shots of it at the end, my hero shots, if you will, of it in place in my room. So let's get into it. As I mentioned, if you watched my last video on how I built my Millennium Falcon bunk, you may have noticed the blank adjacent wall to the right. To me, it is a blank canvas. I started with a piece of 1/8 inch masonite for the base. Now, here's where I finally give a home to my Galaxy's Edge panel I built a while back. That was the only thing I knew for certain was going on the wall. From there, I just started grabbing parts out of my mini bins of collected pieces to see what would work. The layout would change several times as I tried different variations of parts to get the look I had in mind. I didn't have a drawing or anything for this build. Instead, I wanted to give myself the creative freedom to come up with something that looked cool. I wanted to use this electrical box to connect some hoses to, but I definitely didn't like the tabs, so I simply cut them off with my shears. I found this one at Lowe's for just a few bucks. I cut a hole in the top for one of our favorite greeblies, a hard drive motor. And I used these small hex bolts to secure it into place. I glued a few other pieces to it as well to give it a more in-universe feel. I also had this plastic frame I pulled out of a rear projection TV that I wanted to use as another panel with inset parts and wiring. I traced out a few of the openings, marked the other parts as well, and punched them for drilling. I drilled the holes to give me a starting point for my jigsaw. Because the board is so thin, it was very easy to cut the curves all in one pass. Once I had all the holes cut, I dug through my bin of circuit boards to place behind the recesses, as if the cover of this panel had been removed for repair work and just never put back. I was really excited to finally use some of these pieces I've had for quite a long time. just waiting for the right place to incorporate into my room builds. The whole idea for this panel is to look like it has mechanical functionality. While I was laying everything out, I envisioned how the hoses would connect the different pieces together to give a cohesive look. I used corrugated electrical conduit, braided hose, and wire loom for a combination of different tubing designs. Of course, I had to add a few LEDs. I used the ones with a resistor already built in to keep things simple. And I have a bunch of old power supplies that I keep lying around for just this type of lighting. This glass globe with a unique covering made for a really cool looking effect. Then it was time to weather the whole thing until it was a grimy, filthy mess, as if it had seen many, many years of wear and tear. I used a mixture of black and burnt umber water mixable oil paints in different consistencies to provide several layers of grime. And here it is installed next to the Falcon bunk and above the Falcon bench. So there you go. I've continued to build out my Millennium Falcon bench corner, making it look like it is the inside of a ship and not just some tan walls in an office somewhere. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Stay tuned for more awesome builds coming. And until next time, build with what you know and figure out the rest. Video is recording. I'm gonna clap her. So there you go. A